Today, ancient explorers, we are stepping back in time and into the Ice Age. There, we will meet an ancient beast, the woolly mammoth, and later we will create a collage inspired by the animal. The remains of the woolly mammoth have been collected from different locations, including Siberia, since as early as ancient Roman times. But it wasn't until the 18th century that the animal was identified as an ancient member of the elephant family. Hans Sloane first identified the animal in 1728. He was examining a collection of bones from Siberia, and among them were fossilized teeth and trunks. He noted that they belonged to elephants, but thought they might have survived the Great Flood described in the Bible. Then in 1796, Georges Cuvier, a French biologist, identified the fossils as an extinct species of elephant. Today, researchers believe that the woolly mammoth's closest relative is in fact the Asian elephant. We also know that there were different species, and there is evidence to suggest that some may have interbred. The woolly mammoth was around the same size as a modern African elephant. Adult males, for example, were between 2.7 and 3.4 meters in height and weighed up to 6 metric tons. Just like the modern elephant, the woolly mammoth had tusks. They were long and curved. They used them for a range of purposes, including digging into the ground for food and also for defense. The mammal was well adapted to cold climates. Its upper body was covered with long and coarse hair. Meanwhile, its head was also covered with hair, but it was shorter. On the screen you can see a partial mammoth skin. This skin was from remains excavated in 1901. Today the skin is displayed on a model in the Museum of Zoology in St. Petersburg, Russia. The woolly mammoth's habitat was the tundra, a cold and dry grassland. The tundra once extended from modern Spain through Eurasia to Canada. The mammoth lived alongside other grazing animals, including the bison and the wild horse. The woolly mammoth first emerged around 5 million years ago in an era we call today the Pliocene. Then around 40,000 years ago, in a period we today call the Upper Paleolithic, they coexisted with early humans. Early humans hunted the mammoth and used the animal's bones to build shelter, such as the hut you can see on the screen. Its bones and tusks were also used to make objects, such as weapons and figurines. Between 35,000 and 11,000 years ago, the mammoth was also depicted in art, alongside the horse and bison. There are paintings and carvings on walls in caves, located in Russia, France, and Spain. Around 20,000 years ago, the great ice sheets that covered Europe, Asia, and North America began to melt. Over the next several hundred years, the Earth underwent a dramatic change. Water levels rose, as much as 10 meters, and the temperatures also increased. Over time, the woolly mammoth's habitat greatly shrunk in size. It is currently believed that the last populations of the woolly mammoth died out sometime between 5,000 and 4,000 years ago. These populations, which were isolated, were recorded on St. Paul Island, Alaska, and Wrangel Island, Russia. In the 19th and 20th centuries, there were reported sightings of the mammoth in the taiga and also in Alaska. However, none of these have been confirmed scientifically. Many thousands of years after the mammoth's extinction, some indigenous nations of Siberia, Mongolia, and Alaska continue to tell stories about it. Now, ancient explorers, we will make a collage inspired by what we have learned. First, begin by painting 2 sheets of A4 sized paper. As you can see, I'm dabbing black, white, and brown acrylic paint directly onto the sheet of paper, and then with a sponge, I am blending the colors together with long strokes. If you feel that the color is too dark, simply add more white acrylic paint and spread it with your brush or sponge. Also make sure to cover the entire sheet. Paint the second sheet of paper with the same method and colors. These 2 sheets of paper will be used to make the body and head of the mammoth. Once you've finished painting the sheets, put them aside to dry. For the next stage of the activity, I recommend that you use a template for the body of the woolly mammoth. I've created a free template which you can download from my website. The link is in the description box below. As you can see on the screen, with scissors, I'm cutting out the woolly mammoth's various body parts. My collage is in fact going to be a frontal view of the animal. Next, apply glue to the cutout templates of the mammoth's head and body. Then glue these parts to the back of the grey painted sheets. Then with scissors, once again cut out the template. To create the background of the collage, I will be using handmade collage papers. The various green tones of these papers remind me of the tundra. You could paint additional papers and cut them out for your background, or you could simply paint a large piece of cardboard. I've cut my papers to size and I'm now using Mod Podge to glue them to a piece of cardboard. Next, I am painting the smaller hairs on the head of the mammoth. I am blending unevenly white, black and brown acrylic paint, Then with a small square-headed paintbrush, I'm applying the paint with short strokes. Now glue the mammoth's body to the collage's background. In a similar way to the head, I am now painting the longer hairs of the mammoth's body. Once I've finished painting the longer hairs, I leave the body to completely dry. Now it is time to create the eyes of the mammoth. Using the leftover grey painted paper, I am cutting out 2 oval shapes. These will represent the eye sockets. For the eyes, cut out 2 smaller ovals from black paper. For the placement of the eyes, I studied photographs of elephants. The eyes tend to be more or less on the center point between the trunk and the ears in the upper part of the elephant's head. Once you're happy with the position of the eyes, glue them down and also the head. Earlier on I cut out 2 curved tusks from my template. Once you've cut out these hook-like shapes, glue them on either side of the upper part of the trunk. Then finally I've cut out 6 half ovals from white paper. These will represent toenails of the mammoth. Just like the modern elephant, the mammoth had 5 toes. But I am assuming that not every one of them had a nail. So there you go, ancient explorers. Together we have made our very own pictures of the woolly mammoth. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. I would love to see what you create too, ancient explorers. You can share them via my social media accounts. All of my links are in the description box below. Finally, this creative adventure was inspired by our June book of the month, The Big Book of Beasts by Yuval Zommer. You can learn more about the book in the description box below. I look forward to creating with you again very soon, ancient explorers. Until then, take care. Ciao.